Hello and welcome. It's Jennifer here at Peacock-Smith, and today we're doing something quite different. We're going to be looking at social media, how it works for me. Lots of people ask me why they should have Twitter, why they should have anything. I'm not a big expert, but I have come to realize a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to share it with you today. So first of all, we're going to start up with a little bit of a map that I made of the olden days, you know, back when Noah was a boy and dinosaurs roamed the earth. Well, not quite that far, but certainly long before the internet came along, or even before with the Industrial Revolution, when people moved to the cities. Almost everybody in the world through all the centuries have lived in villages. So this is a very rough little village with farms. Old MacDonald lives over there, the deep dark forest and the woods, lots of ploughed fields and so on. A bit of a crossroad, hospital in one corner, the village green, the church or some kind of place of worship, and a little row of businesses. So note that you didn't have a butcher over here and a baker over here and the hospital over here and the church over here. They all congregated in the middle. So they were as close for everybody, but they were also, on the main road for people passing through. So this model, one way or another, has been through different cultures, different countries, different centuries. It's all very much stayed the same. You will hear me talk a lot in all my places, from my books to my art, about tribes and villages. So imagine this is how it used to be. So we're going to put it aside for now, but I don't want you to forget that. And I'm going to do just a little bit of a close-up of said shops. Now, you never had a baker and a baker and a baker and a baker and a baker. The town had, whether he was any good or not, one baker and one seamstress and one doctor and one butcher and one printer in later times. And you could get away with being a really bad baker because there only was one in town. Maybe there were two, and the very good one couldn't make enough for everybody. But by and large, there was one of each, and the shops all tended, or the businesses tended to be right next to each other. So, of course, now we have moved to a completely different world where you can live wherever you like and have your little business, and you can be on the internet. The problem is it's very, very difficult to be heard. We've got millions and millions of people randomly spread everywhere, nowhere near the highways, nowhere near the centre of the village, and nowhere lined up in a group of shops. But there are highways. There are all kinds of virtual highways where the people are and where the people gather on a Saturday morning to come and do their shopping. Might not be a Saturday morning anymore. It's now 24/7 and it's no longer a physical place. But we need to, if we run a shop or a business or a support group or a network, we need to be where the other people are selling. We need to be on the main highway, and we need to be at the centre of it all, and it's really difficult. If we jostle and shout and push, which many people do, and it's really, really ugly. I've had a couple of people recently who have tried to friend me on Facebook, and they've come and I said, "You sure? They look fine," and they've just blasted my page with their business. They haven't asked, they haven't spoken, they haven't interacted, they've done nothing. They've just dumped their stuff like a great big poop in the middle of everything. And I've deleted them and I've blocked them. It's a numbers game. Some of them stay up for a day before they get down, and maybe one or two people might see them. That's not the way to do business with integrity, if you ask me, which you may not be. But jostling and shouting can often get you nowhere, and often it's done in really bad ways. So there's got to be a better way. So we need to still work out our tribe. We need to find villages. We need to find highways, and we need to get together. So I'm going to draw for you my business. This is what I do. This is how it works for me. So if you imagine that this is my shop, just say I am this little shop, even just this little shop on the end. This is me. I'm the baker. And I'm going to, you can see I've done a little bit of pencil so that I don't get totally out of track, but this is my shop. That was really bad putting that there. And this is the road. This is where people walk, my little shade. And over here we have a telephone pole, good old-fashioned telephone pole with the telephone wires, all the electricity or whatever. And it's a two-story building, as they often were in the old days, because this is my home. This is where I lived, and this is my business. And this is the front, and this is the back. And in fact, this here is my back doorstep. Back here is where I keep the rubbish and where I park, and sometimes I come and sit out here on my back doorstep and have a bit of a sob because someone's been mean or things are going awfully. In a business, in the old days, the back of shop was where you made things. This was your little factory. This is where you produced things. It's where your ovens and your bread rolls and everything are. And if you were, and then this is the front of the shop where you actually sell. Now, if you're a dry cleaner, you can have a front of shop that big because all people are doing is dropping off and picking up, and you need lots of room to dry clean. If you're a baker, you need a little bit more room because you want to stack all your wares there and you're going to cook in the back. If you're a Starbucks, you just need a little place at the back to keep stock. And you want people to actually come in and drink your coffee and eat your buns and sit and chat and use the internet. So your front of house is going to be bigger and your back of house is going to be much smaller. But just to keep this simple, we're going to have back of house, and this is your shop. We're just going to do 50-50 roughly, but for your business and what you do, you might need it further here or here. So this for me is where social media comes in. I produce books. I write. I'm a writer. This is my current book here, but there's a new one coming out soon. Well, next year. So I make books. I blog. And I make YouTube art videos. So this is what I do in the back. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting here in bed with my tray, with everything. I'm making my things. This is back of house. You get to see the product, which will go here. But this is where I make it. This is back of house. This is private. But here, this is my shop, and I like to interact with people. I want people to buy my books. So let's say I have bookshelves with lots of books on the bookshelf. They're mine, they might be other people's. I have my art on the wall. It's a bit of a gallery. I might serve tea and coffee in my little pot to make people feel welcome and at home. And I have a shop window so that when people walk past, they can see my shop window. So this is where social media comes in for me. This is my shop front, my Facebook page, this one here, my author page at Peacock-Smith. This is where you can find the things that I sell. You can also see the things that I support, the other people that I support. You can get a sense of who I am by what I share, what I show. You can buy my products there. I can send you to Amazon to buy my books. I can send you to YouTube to see my videos. But for the most part, YouTube and Amazon, where you buy them, are in the back of house. And my Facebook page is here. My website is also here, but rightly or wrongly, Facebook is way overtaking websites, and not everybody follows blogs and websites. My activity on Facebook is much, much greater. People buy my books from Facebook way more than from my website. My Facebook this is it in general, but I do have a website and it's important, and I'll tell you a bit more about that. My shop front, my window. Here is my window. So when people walk past, we want them to come and look in, don't we? So if you look at my Instagram account, you can get a sense of what my shop looks like. So this is my window, and I actually have, I'm very blessed on the corner here, I have two windows. I have Pinterest and I have Instagram. They are my shop window. I don't spend all day on Instagram. I spend very small amount of time on Instagram and a very small amount of time on Pinterest, but I look after them and I'm careful of them, and I make sure that they're a beautiful reflection of my shop, which is my Facebook page. Twitter for me is here on the lamppost and many other lampposts. I have a little sign, a little advert. I also have them in the paper now and then, and to me that is what Twitter is all about. It's those itty bitty little ads that I don't have to pay for them. I pay for them in time and effort, in energy. But Twitter are my little adverts, my little, what do you call it, little A-frame ad out the front. That's Twitter, and the newspaper are Twitter. Goodreads. I also have a Goodreads account. That's more like it's a bit of a shop, it's somewhere in the middle. It's a bit of a shop front, it's quite small, but it's in there. It is part of what I look like from the outside. And this is where support groups are so important. If you're an author, there are support groups on Goodreads. There are so many support groups on Facebook. So this is where the groups come in. They're different to your Facebook and your Goodreads, which are you and what the outside world see. This is your support groups. This is where you go and sit and have a good cry when things aren't working. This is where you ask for help and support. This is where you go and sit on the back doorstep and the seamstress comes out and says, what's wrong? And you tell her what's wrong and she says, well, why don't we have a sale? We're 2 weeks before Christmas, let's all have a sale. That's how all those things came about. They came from people collaborating. So instead of you having a random sale now and the printer has a random sale then, get together and let's have a sale in the lead up to Christmas. That's where all those things come from, and there's a reason why there's a success. They collaborate. But note that they're different. They're not all the same kinds of people. So we have an advantage in that our internet groups are further afield and can be with like-minded people. So you can have support in your own field. You can have authors get together and do blog tours. You can get health nuts get together and have sales. You can have whatever area it is that you work in, whatever it is that you do, you can be a part of bigger groups, but you still need to be part of a single community in a village that is where you're not all bakers. So you need to reach beyond that, and that's another whole topic of discussion, and I'll speak about that next time or the time after, depending on what you comment down below and what people need first. Because this alone can feel quite daunting. People are just randomly, oh, that turned the wrong way. People are just randomly trying to keep up with all of these, and it's really, really difficult. So for me and my strategy, I do one of 4 things. First of all is I have come to understand how each of these things work. So instead of trying to do all of them every day, instead of trying to keep up with all of them, I can see that they each have a purpose. I know what that purpose is, so I use them really well rather than clicking a million likes and sharing the same thing and whatever. So understanding the purpose is very, very helpful. Having a strategy is also really helpful. So knowing how Instagram speaks to Facebook, the fact that they anything that I do there automatically goes there. Anything that I do here automatically goes there and there and there and there. Understanding the relationships between them means a lot of people are doubling up, tripling up on the work instead of just doing it in one place. It's really important to understand what these relationships are and how to use them. Again, I'll do that next time. Context is a word that you're going to hear me hear a lot. I don't try and do things all the time. Going down a rabbit hole of one is quite daunting, but it can be very productive. So I'll do a Twitter rabbit hole once a week and have it set up on Hootsuite for the rest of the week. And then I'll do what I call toilet tweeting, where I'll just check it while I'm on the loo, and a couple of shares, a couple of likes, a couple of whatevers, and the whole thing keeps ticking on. I don't go down that rabbit hole more than once a week. I never go down that rabbit hole, but now and then I need to just see that I'm on track and where I'm going. So that's more of a monthly rabbit hole. So I only go into one context at a time instead of trying to do all things and be all things at once. Apart from anything, I mean, no shop owner puts posters on lampposts every single day and redoes their shop window every single day. There is a time and a season, and so part of keeping up to date is knowing that in the change of seasons, in the holidays coming up, have your window dressed up for the season, having your window dressed up for what's coming up in your community and your world and your religion and your country. Very easily keeps it up to date. So you only have to do that a handful of times. So just being really purposeful, knowing the context, and having a strategy and understanding how they all work. So I'm going to do some more videos on how to make the individual parts of this work. I'll do another one on how to reach beyond and make the most of collaboration and these groups behind the scene, so that we can line up, be together, stand together on highways, not baker, 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 but baker, seamstress, etc. So please comment below and subscribe and tell me what you would like me to talk about when, and ask questions so that I can answer them. But before I go, there are some basics that I just want to stress. 4 basics. The first one is that if you can't be seen, if somebody's walking down the internet highway, they're walking past your shop and they can't see a window, they can't see your ads, they won't see your shop, and they won't buy your products. We need to be visible. If they can't find me or I don't have anything to show, I can't change that. We can't draw people in. So we need to be up to date, even if it's just a little bit on each one. 2, I need my shop fronts, my windows to be active, clean, inviting, inspirational, warm, welcoming, and interesting. I know it can all feel daunting at the moment, but I'm really going to go into it a lot. All you need to do is follow and subscribe, and where you see author, Peacock-Smith author at the bottom, you can skip the art videos if you want to, and the art people can skip this, but you'll be able to see all the author ones very, very clearly. The third one is we cannot expect a place on the internet highways unless we collaborate, share, interact, and earn our place. The last thing is that product and content is king. Unless our products are brilliant, no formula in the world can make it a success. This stuff here, this private back of house stuff, this is where we need to spend a lot of our work and make sure that it's really good. If you don't write well and you really want to be an author, my heart breaks for you. I really, really wish there was a way that we could press a magic button, your book could be perfect. But all of these things can only go so far if your product, what you're selling, what you're producing, what you're making, what you're singing, what you're telling, it has to be top notch. Otherwise, people are just going to walk right by, and this means nothing. So I hope you've got a little bit out of today. I'd love to hear back from you, and please let me know which bits to do next, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you. Bye.